G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat, this will be my Knackers Yard. This will be Mick, the XJ650, the 1980 XJ650, that currently has me pretty fucking terrified. I think we're there. I think we're ready for first start up. Now I do have some catching up to do for you, so you know I'm not completely teasing here, but I'm getting harassed by a wasp. Bits of catch up. What's I done throughout the week? Not a lot, frankly, but some really important bits, right? Minor bits. I've tidied up the clutch handle, given that a spray. I've swapped out the master cylinder with one that I found in the garage. I have no idea what I got it for, but the difference being it's not. I can't do my spaz finger. It's not at an angle because that was just dripping whatever brake fluid I had in there down the bike. So that's holding it nice and flat. Got some pissing around to do, etc, etc, but that is squared away. Really good suggestion from Badders about whether that worked better the other way round. It might do, and I'll try it out, mate. Really good suggestion. Nice simple fucking solution, and it's always good to find another sort of garage bodger that looks at things the same way you do. There's normally a simpler way out of most things you approach. The pipes, my extension pieces arrived today, and I've got them in. So effectively it's a slip over there and a slip into the other side. It's slightly bodged in. I haven't attached them at the back. They are loose, but they're on at least notionally, and on the other side. They may well get blasted off, but at least I've got some back pressure. Not a lot, but some. Because they are almost straight throughs. So they're both on, and on the other side. The bit that was really getting me, and I kicked myself once I saw the fucking light, was the starter solenoid, because I couldn't work out how to do it. I was really confused by the cabling coming from the starter motor, thinking, well, it's black, so it's negative. But surely it's earthed off the frame. It's not black because it's negative, it's black because it wants to sink, it wants to disappear behind. So I went to the XJ650 Facebook channel and just said, on Facebook, and just said, has anyone got a picture of theirs? Because I think it's this. And fundamentally one of the guys got back and said, yeah, you're right. So it goes from one side goes red to the battery, red to the loom, the other side goes into the starter motor. That's not because it's negative, it is positive. It's just black, so it blends in. And I was being an idiot, because fundamentally when you try and start it, all that does is it joins that as a circuit. So it makes that live, spins the starter, and off we go. So, no fuel, no nothing, this, that and the other. I get a start attempt with no grinding, which is a massive, massive, massive step forward, and I wasn't there before. And I'm really chuffed. And it sounds like it's got compression, it sounds good. I've dropped some oil down each one of the four cylinders, a bit of engine oil, not a lot. I've got new sparks arrived, nice goldy ones, because the normal NGK ones are, or NGK ones, there's so many dodgy ones kicking around on the market, so I played it safe and went for a different brand. And the gold, so they look pretty. So they're in. I've tested the spark on each one of the plugs, and it works. I have spark on each one of the plugs. I'm still not convinced I've got them plugged in right, but everything that I've read, and logically, left goes to 1 and 4, right goes to 2 and 3. I don't think it matters which way round you have those, because fundamentally they move together, if you follow my drift. So I think that's right. Families trying to kill each other. I don't like the way the cabling's worked out, because I'm really short on the outer ones and really long on the inner ones. I do wonder if somehow at some point these have been swapped over. Now I don't think they're the correct ones anyway, because That spark should reach all the way through and attach onto there. That spark, that coil should, and it don't, which worries me, because it should. But yeah, okay. I mean, what I do know is that I'm getting spark off 1, 2, 3 and 4. Not particularly good spark, it has to be said, although I did test it when my battery was a bit low. Battery being a lithium battery, I can do a test like that. It looks good. I've had it on charge because I've been like dry cranking it gently, bearing in mind it now has oil in it. Can't remember if I said that. So a couple of the bits of advice was to give it a few, start attempts with no spark, no fuel, etc., etc., just to circulate that oil a bit, which makes complete sense. So I've done that a few times over the last couple of days. I seem to be putting this off. Yeah. I'm not sure whether it's reminiscent of, but I'm really excited to do it and terrified of it all going fucking horribly wrong now. Any of you people can look back at an experience in your lives where that sounds familiar. You kind of know how I feel at the moment. Yeah. I'm going to have to get some fuel in it and give it a go. Right, let's do this. Put me out of my misery. Right, so secondary tank set up. Fuel in it, power on, vacuum hose blocked with a memento from Charlie, a motorcycle rescuer. He dropped off a bike and left that plugged in, and I've used it for it ever since, so it's kind of a lucky charm. I don't know why I'm so fucking nervous. Either going to work or it's not now. Right, let's go for fuel on, and then carbs fill up a bit whilst I am looking for leakages. I will probably fast forward you whilst this is. Right, let's try this shit, shall we? Try some choke. There's enough cranking amps in that little battery. Let's see if I can give it a bit of a hand. I've no idea how good this battery is either, mind you. Right, I have a theory. Well, I have several. The problem with this bike is that I've adjusted so many things. Knowing where to start is really tricky, but trying to stick to basics. What does it need? It needs spark, compression, fuel. I haven't done a compression test, but there's nothing wrong with the pistons, or there was nothing wrong with the pistons or the rings, and you can hear it thumping. So I don't think it's that. It's got spark on all four, so I'm pretty certain it's not that. What it really leaves is potentially fuel. Now I, amongst everything else I've fucked with, come and join me on the floor where I've been sitting crying for the last 20 minutes. No, I haven't. I've done what most people do, is swear a lot. Opened a beer and then cracked on. Now I adjusted the float heights on this by the manual, which said, I can't remember however many millimetres, but I did it dry and it doesn't actually tell you where to measure them from, and I did adjust all of them. The method it tells you to do it is wet, which is clear pipe on the hose, on the drain, hoik it up, get the bike level. Now I've taken the centre stand off because it was interfering with my current, at least, exhaust, so it's as close as I can get without it rolling down the path. Let's see what we end up with. I really don't want this to piss fuel all over my paint either. That's supposed to be plus or minus a millimetre on the float bowl. Now, I don't know if I've got my calipers here. I think they're indoors, but without wanting to push that pipe too much so it pops off, I think we're a bit short. I think we're closer to 5. Let me get my calipers and we'll see if we can show you a bit better. I just want to make sure this doesn't disappear down the path while I'm away. 2 seconds. Right, now this is tricky to see, but I've put a couple of red lines on it just so. In fact, you need to drop a little bit more because you need to be level with that float bowl. Let me drop you. Right, now this is almost as difficult to see as it is to show. So I've chucked a couple of red lines on there. I've got you about level with the edge of the float bowl, so the bottom edge. And the actual fuel level. Now the fuel level, it goes to great pains in the book to say that you go from the bulk of the fuel, not the edge, not the meniscus. Meniscus. It's a tricky word on a Friday. I think that's about what I've got. Now what I should have is 3 plus or minus 1. This is fucking tricky behind the camera. I think what I've got closer to 7. So I think I fucked up the float heights. So what? So what? Carbs off, float heights back on. Try again. Now that is, in this current configuration, i.e. with no airbox, 10-minute job. It's 10 minutes I've not got now though. And I know loads of you people were waiting for first start-up attempt. So I'm going to upload this as it is, as a failure. Now, why? I think it's just as important to show them as successes. This is not as easy as it looks. And you need a degree of resilience not to just push this on fire down the hill. So that'll do me for this one. Start attempt that didn't work. What I'm going to do now is do that up now because I routinely forget and leave these running and they piss fuel everywhere. What I'm going to do now is shut the camera off and whip the carbs off. This evening at some point, once we've done food and kid stuff and things like that, I will recheck those heights because at the moment I think they are too low. Therefore it's not allowing enough fuel through, which isn't allowing it to kick through and spark. So no matter how much revs I could chuck starter fluid down it like it's going out of fashion, but if it's not got enough fuel in the bowls, it's not going to be pushing enough through the jets, is my thinking. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to be chucking a load of starter fluid. People have been saying, oh, why don't you chuck some down? It's all fresh paint. It's just starter fluid will just strip it. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. But I certainly don't want to do it as a first resort when that sort of shit is really a last resort. Yeah, sorry people. Not the most cinematic experience ever. And believe me, none of you want this thing to make noise more than I do. But these things are sent to try us. The one minor success that I got today that I don't think I pointed out was I've managed to clear the brake pedal on the pipes, as temporary as they are. Now I looked down from the top and realised that my pipes were too far out on this side, so I basically just, you know, unhooked everything a little bit, give it a bit of a push, knocked it over, and now, you know, the brake, although the battery is currently sat on it charging, the brake no longer snares the pipe, which is good. I'm not convinced that battery it died very, very quickly, but we'll see. The one thing I have worked out now, I've got all of this, I've got a decent amount of space here, so if I have to go for a full-size battery, I can probably fit one in without it ballsing up too much or snaring up too much. Right, damp squib of an upload. Believe me, I wished it was more. Oh, camera's doing its own thing. Believe me, I wished it was going to be more. I hope it's the float heights, because that's a relatively simple fix. It's a fiddly fix, because I've got to take everything off, do it, put it back on again. But if that's what it is, I really hope that's what it is. Could be the coils, although I'm 99% sure they're now back in the orientation they were in, rightly or wrongly. But it has run with that configuration before. All very weird. But yeah, I mean, fundamentally, this is all new grounds for me. Generally on a bike I'll do one bit, test it, get it to work, then I'll do the next bit, then I'll do the next bit. This has been the first sort of like bottom up build, where I've got so many variables in the equation, trying to work out which one it was is tricky in the extreme. Right, sorry people, bit of a crap one, but still important that you see it, I think. Cheers all, I'll catch you later. Ta-da.